blatant example of government taking the side of whose speech is sanctionable and whose speech is immunized. So
then why even do this if you're the governor?
Because these guys are progressive leftist liberals. They don't care about facts as long as they can tell you, that they're fighting for the cause, because they want to tell everybody they're doing something. And they know, and the ones who are smart enough to what they're doing, and that's not very many of them, but the ones who are smart enough to know what they're doing know damn well that these things are unconstitutional when they do it, but they do it anyway so that they can, show their left-wing supporters that they're with them. We're going to get these bad, evil people who might offend you by what they say. Oh my gosh, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will offend me. Give me a frickin' break, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what is dangerous about this, it isn't that these people like Governor Pritzker and Kwame Raoul, the Attorney General, support these ideas when they, they're old enough to know better. What's dangerous to democracy, small d, is government compelling speech, and exactly what this court said: the government taking sides on who's right and who's wrong. Okay, the courthouse square is for everybody. All right. And the First Amendment is very clear, and frankly, it's foundational to our democracy. Again, small d, that if government starts taking sides in matters of opinion, we're no longer a democracy. All right. That is what is so dangerous about stuff like this. And when you go out sword rattling, for your lefties to show them we're with you, but you're doing stuff like this, is extremely dangerous to our democracy in this country.
So where does this bill stand now then, Chapin?
Well, there's an injunction that's been ordered to restrain it, which just means that it can't be enforced for the time being while they have an actual trial on the facts. And that's why the court said it's most likely unconstitutional, because this is a preliminary injunction. They haven't actually had the trial yet. But what's interesting here is the courts did grant a preliminary injunction. And I don't want to get too legalistic here, but it is rare, very rare, for a court to issue a preliminary injunction to set aside temporarily any state law, because under all applicable jurisprudence, the acts of legislatures that are signed into law by governors are entitled to the presumption of validity unless they clearly violate, some sort of constitutional right, or some, so whether it's the First Amendment in this case, or the Second Amendment, Third, Fourth, Fifth Amendment, whatever, so on. So the only time that a court will issue a preliminary injunction to set aside a law, and basically overrule that presumption of validity, is when it is very clear on its face that this thing stinks to high heaven. And again, it's the issue here isn't what side of pro-life or pro-choice you're on. The issue here is the government shouldn't take a side in the opinions of people, because it is chilling speech. It is compelling speech. It's telling you can't say what you want to say on the courthouse square. And that is a dangerous, slippery slope for any democracy.
Sure. Chapin, just your thoughts on where Illinois is at and headed from an abortion standpoint in general. What do you think?
Well, I think that, look, it's clear. I mean, I don't think I have to tell people listening what they don't already know, that, abortion is the law of the land in Illinois. I'm pro-life, and I disagree with that and voted against all those things when bills come up for a vote. But, they have, under Pritzker, have taken it into, they've legalized everything. So, and that's not going to change in Illinois under J.B. Pritzker and the Democrats. So I don't know that I need to say what my opinion is. I think it's clear on its face what the law of the land is in Illinois. And so the rest of us will have to continue to fight at the election boxes and to replace people of the legislature that will not, protect the sanctity of human life. I would also, go on to say, beyond this, I think it's, when the leaders in whether it's Springfield or DC or wherever have so little regard for life. Is it any wonder that our society has the number of murders and shootings that it has?
Mhm.
We're not just standing up for, foundational elements of, hey, there's right and wrong here, and there's human life needs to be protected. Once you walk away from that and say, well, some lives can be protected, but not other lives can be protected, is it any wonder you end up in the cultural degradation we're in everywhere else?
Mhm.
I'm sure that a bunch of liberals will tell me I'm crazy and don't know what I'm talking about and everything else. But to me, it's pretty clear that the minute you walk away from what is a
Fundamental.
human being,
Yeah.
what is a human being, and stop caring about that human being, then that carries over into all other facets of life. And so you see teenagers who don't care about other teenagers and shoot them,
Mhm.
because from a mores perspective, they're told from the time they're very young that human life really is trivial and doesn't matter. And so what the heck? I just I think it's I do think in the long run we're going to prevail in this issue, but I think in Illinois we've reached what I would consider the peak of the pro-choice crowd's power and influence. I mean, they've legalized everything they can possibly legalize, and so not to try to be Pollyanna in what is a fairly bleak situation for the pro-life movement, but not to be Pollyanna, but literally they have nowhere to go but down from here. So, I think the long run here is positive for people who believe in life. But certainly right now we're in a pretty dark place.
Sure. Well, and just how about the pushback from the conservatives in Illinois, Chapin? Not only from the legislature, but the voting body, the populace. Where do you see? How do you see conservatives' pushback in that equation you're talking about there?
So I apologize. I didn't quite understand the full question there. Could you mind
Yeah,
repeating?
no. So it's like, I mean, I guess the premise is, how do conservatives, make their feelings and voices heard? Because, we're in a super majority or super minority here in Illinois. And, it just feels like every election they lose more and more ground. How do you make that back up? What's the Illinois Republican Party doing
Sure.
about that, I guess?
So great question, and I'll simply submit two things, both of which are long term, right? I mean, we just discussed there's no short term, fix here, but first of all, conservatives must simply do a better job of organizing ourselves, and quite honestly, that's very difficult because liberals, by virtue of being collectivists, kind of enjoy being in their little lane, in their little loop, being told what to do by other people in other lanes and other loops, right? So, we're not collectivists, we're individualists. And we believe in people being able to do for themselves and not have the government do it for them. So, in a sense, we're running an uphill race anyway because of that. But we simply have to do a better job of organizing ourselves as conservatives, and we can't be getting caught up in one-off fights about this or that between each other when there's a greater war to be won, right? The second thing, and I firmly believe this, and I'll say this for my own town. The school boards of Illinois is where this is at. And in fact, if you notice, J.B. Pritzker jumped on this last year and spent a bunch of his own personal money on local school board candidates. Well, why did he have to spend J.B. Pritzker's wealth on local community school board candidates? He did it because he knows
That's where the fight is at.
Parents of this state have had it, okay? And that without his big money coming in to shore up these leftist liberals in school board positions, that they were going to lose the race, all right? Because the race is the kids in school. That's the race, okay? And so, for example, Muhammad, conservatives got together We had different groups. Some people were there because of COVID. Some people were there because of school curriculums. I mean, there are 100. Some people there because of property taxes. And there's 100 different reasons people showed up, right? But we kind of put it aside and said, hey, we're going to run a slate and we're going to win this school board. And we took it unanimously. All right. And by the way, we did it without spending J.B. Pritzker's billions of dollars, right? I think, these guys didn't spend all the money at all that I can tell. So anyway, but the point of it is that I truly believe look, the example, the metric is there. If you look at Glenn Youngkin in Virginia, and I know you probably have to take a commercial break, but this is about a fairly lengthy discussion, but Glenn Youngkin in Virginia flipped the suburbs of Virginia that voted against Donald Trump by 20%. I mean, they hated Trump in the suburbs of Virginia, the suburbs of Washington, D.C., basically. They voted down Trump by 20 points. Glenn Youngkin won it by 10, okay? Won that same suburban D.C. county by 10. And he did it by organizing parents who were ticked beyond belief at their kids' educational opportunities. And I'm telling you right now that for suburban Illinois, which is much like suburban Washington, D.C., that's the path back for conservatives. Mm-hmm. And that is exactly why J.B. Pritzker was so scared that he ran in and had to shore up a bunch of leftist school board members with his own personal wealth because he could see it coming. Now, we had a lot of races in this state that were won, but we've got more to win. But clearly the path is that suburban soccer mom who's just not happy with how our kids are being educated.
Mm-hmm. Let's take the break you mentioned there, Chapin. We'll come back and maybe dive more into this and other things. State Senator Chapin Rose, he fills in for State Senator Sally Turner on the WHOW morning show this morning. Of course, Chapin represented DeWitt County in much of the listening area for some time here in central Illinois. More to come with Chapin on the morning show. WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Thursday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network. Corn starting slightly lower, beans slightly higher, and wheat begins the day lower. September corn opening 466 and a quarter, down 3 and a quarter. December corn down 3 and a quarter, 478 and a quarter. And March corn on this Thursday 492 and a half, down 3. September beans opening 1340 and 3/4, up 6. November beans up 1 1/2, 13.25. January beans up 1 3/4, 13.35 1/2. September wheat 587, down 10 3/4. December wheat to begin this Thursday 6.13, down a dime, and March wheat down 9 3/4, 6.38 1/2. September bean meal 401.70, that's down 2.80, and September bean oil 67.18. Up 41 cents. Opening numbers on this Thursday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
This is Scott Baum at Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. We believe in putting customers first. That's how we started, and it's why we go the extra mile for our customers. Looking for a new or used vehicle? We have transparent pricing for new and used cars, trucks, SUVs, and crossovers. See all our pricing and pictures online at your convenience. Or come in and visit our full-service team today at Clinton or Farmer City. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
Hey, everybody. Buddy Wilson here, your new country financial agent in Clinton. While we can't do anything about insurance industry rate increases, we still offer the best personal service you deserve. Click on my icon on DeWittDailyNews.com.
Connexus will provide local, reliable, affordable, and speed of light fiber internet to Clinton. Get on the install list now by clicking the Connexus icon at DeWittDailyNews.com. Fiber internet is coming to Clinton. Get on the install list now.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. State Senator Chapin Rose fills in today for Senator Sally Turner on the morning show. Of course, Chapin used to represent a lot of the listening area on the WHOW Morning Show. And Chapin, we appreciate you making time as always. What else has kind of caught your eye or ear in the legislature the last several months since we've caught up last?
Yeah, What hasn't? I mean, uh, energy is a huge topic, as it always is.
Yeah.
And I'll point out that a year and a half ago, when they shut down all the coal plants in Illinois, I pointed out the fact that we're going to have to, you can't just shut down the coal plants and still be able to turn on the lights, right? I mean, it doesn't work that way. And so, I noted that eventually we're going to have to bring transmission lines in from out of state to backfill the electrons that we're losing from the coal plants. But the irony in that is the electrons that will come in from out of state on those transmission lines are going to be coal, right? They're going to be coal electrons from Missouri or Kentucky or Indiana, wherever, but they're going to be coal. And so all we're really doing is putting Illinois people out of work. And again, just to issue a press release so the liberals can tell, their progressive leftists that we're with you, even though they know damn well that they're not actually doing anything. Well, lo and behold, guess what happens? It didn't even take a year and a half, but MISO, who's the grid operator for the entire Midwest, they stepped up and said, hey, guess what, Illinois, you've so screwed up your power market. We're going to force you to build transmission lines so that the lights turn on. And, on one hand, it's like, yeah, it's nice to be proven right by yes, I wasn't just out there hooting and hollering, but that in fact, this
you weren't a carnival barker,
and,
as the governor likes to call you.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, because that's what the liberals say. Oh, you guys are crazy. You're carnival barkers. Blah blah. Well, no, actually, this is serious stuff. But on the other hand, on that note, this isn't funny. I mean, we're now going to have to pay as consumers to build more transmission lines. It comes out of your rate. It comes out. Everybody listening is going to pay more for their power, all because J.B. Pritzker and the leftist Democrats and by the way, when I say that, they exist in Bloomington, they exist in Champaign, they exist in Decatur. You know what I mean? This isn't like a Chicago thing. I mean, all three of those communities around Clinton have Democrat legislators who vote for this stuff, right? I'm not saying every one of them did, but I'm saying that more often than not they do. All right. And in the case of that power bill, several of them did vote for it. But here's my thing. All the people listening, including those people in Bloomington, Decatur, and Champaign, are going to pay more for their power. And, frankly, I'm tired of paying more for power. My power bill is too high. The people I represent's power bill is too high. And I resent, I resent paying more when it's easily avoidable and was self-inflicted. Also, Pritzker and the progressive leftists could issue a press release that was complete BS, and they knew it.
Yeah.
And you know what? Now I got MISO, the grid operator, basically saying, yeah, you guys screwed it up.
One headline that caught probably a lot of folks' attention, Chapin, was the nuclear expansion that the legislature had passed, but the governor vetoed. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, good question. That needs to happen. And by the way, this technology is a long-term play. It is not. It's not ready anytime soon. So don't anybody think your power bill is going down tomorrow. And it certainly isn't going down tomorrow because Pritzker vetoed it once again. I mean, this guy's as clumsy as he is. Well, never mind. That wasn't very nice what I was going to say, but he is playing in a space that he has no idea what he's doing, and he's messing it up, and he's doing it for political favor with people who are, just issue a press release. But the small nuclear reactor bill, came up. It is something I support. It's funny. They actually called it in the middle of like at 9 or 10 o'clock on the night of my kid's high school graduation. So I'd already left to go back to my kid's high school graduation. So I look forward to voting against the governor's veto because it is something that needs to happen. And what it will do, just as a policy matter for those listening, Clinton is a very big place, right? Everybody knows the power plant in Clinton is huge. These are they're called small nuclear reactors. They are could power a county of 5,000 or 10,000, say. Okay, they're not going to power anywhere near what Clinton powers. But the notion is over time that you could use those to offset some of these losses from coal or natural gas. But again, the technology isn't here yet. You're talking about a decade or more. I mean, I at least half a decade or more. I mean, it's not anytime soon. So it's important that we take these steps to allow this to happen once it's ready and is cost effective, but and safe. But we're not anywhere close to that yet, which gets us back to why their bungling of the energy grid in that bill a year and a half ago was just so negligently stupid, and that's probably the best way I can say it.
Sure.
Just negligently stupid. And also they could issue a press release saying they're green, and when really at the end of the day we're just going to be backfilling carbon electrons from out-of-state coal plants, putting somebody else's state's people to work, and you and I and everybody listening gets to pay more for it. Thank you, JB Pritzker.
Well, Chapin, on that, we got to let you go, my friend. It was good to have you on. Thanks for making time for us this morning. State Senator Chapin Rose filling in for Senator Sally Turner on the morning show. Network News is next.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, 92.3 FM, W222 BG Clinton, 106.5 FM, W293 DJ Normal Bloomington.
Thomas.